Hello, welcome to Horse Racing Today. Sorry about the delay. We had a little bit of problems, still having some technical difficulties. I suppose auditory issues. First, Tom couldn't hear me. My microphone wasn't working, and I have my headphones on blast, but can hardly hear. Anyway, maybe it's just old age, Tom.
Could be. It's hearing, does go. At least you don't have tendonitis, so it's not ringing.
Please don't wish those types of things on me. Every now and then I get a little of that ringing in my ears, and you see those commercials where people can never get the ringing out of their ears, and then like the fear overcomes me, like, man, I just can't imagine living the rest of my life like this. But I suppose after a while you become deaf to it. No, I wouldn't know. I hope I never do know. I have enough problems. I don't need one more.
I would prefer not to know.
Yeah, as would I. I mean, again, too many problems already. Quickly today, real quick before we get started, free track over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. There is a link down in the description below. Delta Downs, we had a good day at Delta Downs yesterday, lit it up. So let's see if indeed we can light it up again today. There is a link in the description below. We click on that and you will see, hopefully I'm signed in. Yes, race one, the 2-horse Abdebris is the favorite. So, or at least our favorite of our picks in there, Thomas. But we're not picking horses in Louisiana. We're going to Victoria, Australia.
And pretty warm there because it's the summertime.
Yeah, not warm here where we are. You and I in Chicago. It's
yeah.
How many we got? About 6, 7, 8 inches by you? What do you got?
Yeah, roughly. And it seems to be turning to rain because it's warming up.
Mm-hmm. And then so it'll be real nice and sloppy and ugly. And then tomorrow, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, something like that. In the afternoon or the evening.
We're going to have a heat wave.
So all that messy slush is going to become one big iceberg. Can't wait.
So if you would prefer hop on a plane and head for Flemington because it's going to be a lot warmer there.
Yes, indeed. The track is listed as good for, Thomas. Good for racing. Hopefully good for our
picks. A little bit of moisture in the track, but nothing serious.
No, not too much at all. So the first one we're going to do is race 6. We're going to do 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is the Jockey Acknowledgement plate. In this situation, they're going to run 1,600 meters, Tom. As always, we have a little bit of a preview of what it looks like. They're going to start back here in this chute. They're going to come out basically in the bend, pretty big sweeping bend all the way around. And then a long, pretty good extended dash to the finish line. So when you're looking at this sort of race, Tom, with that turn kind of right there, you want inside position, or is it long enough it doesn't matter?
I prefer the inside.
Fantastic.
It does make a challenge. But it is a long sweeping, and you can get caught. It's not hard to get caught wide here.
And then when you're coming down the stretch, are we looking for closers at Flemington? Are we looking for mid-pack, front types? What are we looking for?
I generally look for the mid-pack, but you'll see some deep closers too. Front running really depends on the tempo of the race for the front runners. Sometimes it surprises you, and there's one that sets a moderate pace and ends up winning.
Speaking of pace, let's take a look at the projected early pace according to racenet.com.au. Friday at 5 looks like it's going to be the fastest at all at 23-1. Soaring Eagle, Fire of Etna, some of your stalkers in here, Makeb being in there. When you take a look at the settling position, once they're kind of going through that turn, Tom, you can see that most of the horses want to be middle back. So that could give a little bit of an edge to horses that want to be more forward than usual. If everybody wants to come off the pace, jostling for position, getting stuck wide like you mentioned, could be advantageous to be a little closer to the front. And then on the closing speed, really, the only one that doesn't really seem to fit in and have some late leg ability is that front runner, Friday at 5. So based upon this, Friday at 5 has got a dash to the lead, Tom, try to get 8 or 9 lengths ahead of everybody and then bring it on home. I don't know that that's what's going to happen, but we're going to find out what you think is going to happen.
Oh, yeah, we are. I'm going to start with number 9, Fire of Etna. Draw 3, or barrier 3, I should say. One last time out after being off for 10 months. She had to do some work. She was 9th, turning for home, and ran him down. very lightly raced horse who has 4 starts and 2 wins. And I'm this trainer I caught. I'm going to pick another one of his horses because this trainer at last 50 races is really hot. Has 40% win percentage and a 64% in the money percentage. That is pretty good.
Sounds like us on this show.
Sounds like his horses are definitely in form.
Mm.
So it's it got a little bit of a class rise here, but really, after coming off 10 months to do what it did, I think it's got a great chance again to repeat. The next one is going to be 5, Dane on Tour with Barrier 5. One last time out at Caulfield and did it on the front end. And this is not the normal running style of this horse. She was the apprentice that rode her was questioned by the stewards. And she said, I got caught wide and the horse made little effort to go for the lead and went for the lead. Well, maybe it's a front runner.
Mm-hmm.
And the tempo in that race suited front runners. And, really it was like only half a length ahead. And then really just got going and won nicely, opening up at the end. I can't see any reason why I can't do it again. And finally, I'm going to take 8, Riva Port with Barrier 4. Really hasn't run the best races in the world, but she's been wide and she didn't get off start very well. But this is her first start after the layoff. She's been better. They're going to add blinkers. Again, 3 starts, a win and a placing. So lightly raced. Why not?
Well, where you end off is where I'll begin, Thomas, with Riverport. It might not look like it when you look at the past performances, but when you look at the actual fractions and numbers, that last race, the first up, was much faster than the previous start, similar distance. And this horse in its second start, Tom, 3 times out, a win in the second. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I also have the 9 horse, Fire of Etna, as my second selection. So 2 out of 3 we agree on today. The bettors have always backed this horse. So obviously they think there's some quality there, much like the 8 horse. This one ran about 2 seconds faster in its first start after a layoff. And the only other time the horse, well, 1 out of 2 times. Oh, no, excuse me. The only time it made its second upstart. Gosh, but maybe it is the operator and not the technology. But only time the horse made it to a second up, it won that race, improving off the first one. See if that history can repeat. Harmonious Senora, something we all wish to have in our lives. This one here, Thomas, is capable of some. So if you look at the races, the past performances, sometimes the horse, like with half a mile to go or less, can be 11, 12 lengths off the field and then just make insane closing efforts. I don't know if today's going to be one of those days, but not a whole lot of pace to chase here, and everybody's going to be kind of bunched up. And if it's one of those insane late pace days, quintessential Tom horse win, probably not. But I think if you see one of those days, good shot to boost your exactas, trifectas, or your swingers or omnis. What do they call them down there, Tom?
They don't have those there.
Oh, all right. Well, do they have anything similar or just normal stuff?
Oh, well, Quinellas, things like that. But it really depends on what's being offered in terms of us. Usually I only see exactas.
All right. Well, maybe you can fatten up your exacta. And then the third time we are in agreement, Dane on Tour, as you pointed out, Tom. Last time the horse went wire to wire. I don't know what the stewards would ask on that. I think you'd want to give the horse a good shot to win. And but the thing is, as you talked about, the horse can also close. So maybe just trying it. Maybe that last race, Tom, was an attempt, really not so much to get the horse to go wire to wire, but maybe it was an attempt to put some fitness in the horse, and it went wire to wire by sprinting it out as fast as they can. Maybe they were really targeting this race. So we'll see if indeed that plays to form again. Well, unfortunately, Tom, we're in Australia. That means we don't have a predictor.
No predictor. Well, we're the predictors.
Yes. Maybe we should change the name of the show to the Predictors. That would be good. And then we can have like a Terminator type robot.
Yeah. Yeah. Arnold coming into the picture, right?
Yeah. That is not a good pick. All right. So race number 7 is what we're going to do next. This one is 1,400 meters. So they're going to start here. I think that kind of reduces the impact of the turn like the 1,600 meters did. They have a little bit of a straight shot before they turn, Tom. But I would still guess with that chute right there, you want to kind of be on the inside because it'd be really easy to be trapped wide coming out of that chute.
Yeah, and that frequently happens. So a lot of racing luck or get some good cover if you're one of those outside draws is really key, and then get a gap to be able to run. If you got the horse under you, and if you stop badly, then get stopped badly, forget it.
Yeah, if you get shuffled way back. So, all right, Tom, who's not going to get shuffled?
I'm going to try for number 8, Punch Lane with draw 12. One last time out, it's at second most of the race, charged up, and it was at this distance, 1,400 meters. Lightly raced, 5 starts, got 3 of them have been wins. Moving up in class, it's 1 second up before. And again, we have that trainer with 50 starters, 40% winners. That's, yeah.
They're getting the good hay delivered from Southern California.
Yeah, the only negative here really is that draw. It's going to have to get some good position, but it does like to, be right there. So maybe it'll get some good position early to be able to kick home. 6 Helix is next with draw 10. They ran 2 really average efforts, and then all of a sudden it decided to run. It ran good second at a benchmark 870 race, and while stalking the pace, has shown better before, and then runs late, and it's done well at this distance, has a win and some placings. So I'm going to put him in the money. And finally, I'm going to take a really weird horse. Number 5, Greenbelt with barrier 3. Lightly raced 5-year-old. Well, only raced when it was 2. Mm-hmm. It has 3 starts, 2 wins, and a placing. Ran an enlisted race when it raced last, but it's been off 637 days. So, interesting pick here because I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those, and they're also taking the blinkers off from its last start, which was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So I'll throw it in there and see what happens.
Yeah, plus it looks like the bettors like it, so there must be something going on in the track there.
Yeah, that was the other thing that kind of keyed me was that there's some early money on that horse.
Mm-hmm. Must be something positive happening in the workouts. I am going to start with a price horse, Tom. I'm switching roles with you. I'm going to take Bullet Wing, the 9 horse in here, Thomas. If he's going to win, today's the day. This is the right distance for this guy. 7 times he's run today's distance, won 3 of them. And then he has a second and a third mixed up. Last race was its first up effort, ran kind of even in that. So I'm expecting some improvement in a horse that's won 1 out of 2 in the second start after a layoff at its hometown distance. I also have Helix in second, like you, Thomas. I think that's where that horse likes to finish, second place.
It seems to do a good job of that.
Yeah, he's one of those second-itis horses. You can see here 10 races, 2 wins, 4 seconds. So why not put him in second or first? As you mentioned last time out, he had a really nice improved effort, but that was at which track, Tom? Flemington, yes. Let's see if he can break his second-itis. I don't think so. I also went with Greenbelt like you. I just figured you see some money coming in on a horse that's been off for forever. Something is going on there. But it is a 5-year-old, as you mentioned, Tom, that's only raced a couple of times. So that tells me that this horse does have some health issues, whatever they may be. If it's off that long, I'm guessing it's structural in some way, and that maybe one leg is a little shorter than the other, or some knee issues, something along those lines. And for $3, for 7-2, if that knee flares up, if that's what it is in the race, he's not worth 7-2 odds, in my opinion, but still worth putting in your picks. And then finally, I'm going to go with another little bit of a price here to close it out. Too Good for Two Rock. Whoever Two Rock is, I feel sorry for you because this horse is too good for you. This is another one, Tom, that's just been off for forever. But the last time the horse took a day off or a week off or a month off or months off, came back to win. It's first up. I think this horse has got a good shot to be up front. And when he runs well, Thomas, he tends to be on the front, especially on a good surface. 12 times out, 4 wins and a third. So today will be the day, or it won't be the day. But at a price we will we'll take if it wins. Next up is race number 8, and I forgot to do something in race number 7 that I won't forget to do in race 8, Tom. But race 8 is 1,200 meters. We're going to shorten up a little bit more. 1,200 meters, that's just a straight dash, Thomas. So I guess post position doesn't really matter at all, but do they spread apart like the Red Sea as they do in England?
No, they do not.
Just go straight, eh?
Yeah, well, again, the jockeys, trainers, etc., will go and walk the course in the morning and try to find the best going. You know, where's the best place to be? Is it going to be on the stand side or is it towards the inside? And, you know, position yourself appropriately.
So I forgot to show this in the last race. Forgive me, folks.
The Pacers.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like all of them except Karan and Treasure Star. They should all compete for the lead early on. Could make for a pretty hot pace in that straight dash down the track there, that 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs. When they settle up in the middle, like everybody's going to be forwardly placed. Thomas, a couple of these are going to lose their legs late, I would suspect. And could open up the door for the 3 of the 4 to make a nice closing effort at the end, especially if they have a late race advantage over the rest. And they have a little bit of an edge. I don't think a great edge, but maybe a big enough edge to make up some ground. At least one of those two, I suspect, has a good crack to finish in the money, Tom. Who do you think is going to take home the money?
I am going to take number 5, Crosshaven. Was draw number 4. It's not been running the best. Ran 9th in a listed race at Flemington last out. He raced in that race, interestingly enough, without cover. Well, you don't need cover. It's a little different in this kind of race.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's generally suited to get tucked in. And to me, that tells, interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Distance is perfect. It's 5 starts, got 2 wins. It's been good over this course at various distances in the past. I just think it's going to run a better effort. Now the number 2, which I cannot pronounce that name. If
I was going to
ask
you to give it a try.
Depended on it. I have no idea.
Sophia?
I have no clue.
Oh, we'll watch the race and find out. That one is going to go off at about 1:28 a.m. Eastern. So you want to know how to pronounce that name? Tune in at about 12:20 a.m. this morning on the East Coast, and we'll know for sure.
With that, it has the inside draw. And one last time out in a listed race at 1,100 meters at Caulfield, moved from 4th on the turn and went running away. Shows probably the 1,200, so it's just fine. It's run before at this distance and won, but it has never started at the group level. So this is definitely a step up. And it's run well overall. I mean, it's got 13 starts, 6 wins, 5 placings. I think it's a good spot to get a placing in a group.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I'm going to take number 6, Snapper. There's draw 2. He's not in the necessarily the best of form lately, but he's been running a little higher levels at this distance. He's done well at this distance with 19 starts and 5 wins and some placings, 3 placings. He's done average at Flemington, but guess what? Race he won last year.
This one.
So if he's that, maybe that little class relief will be enough. And I did not go back and look in the form of what they did last year to get this horse to win here, but my guess is it went off at a decent price. And who knows?
You can't be the champ unless you beat the champ. So I'm going to go with the horse that nobody knows how to pronounce his name, and we'll tune in tonight to figure that out. But that being said, I didn't really want to go with the favorite here, Tom, but when you look at every other horse in this race, they're all like Swiss cheese, full of questions and holes. I think this horse is just a standout horse.
For a group race, this is just all over the place in terms of form and what they've done. They're just wildly inconsistent bunch.
Yeah, and this is the only one in here that I just felt like if they all run the way they've been running, the 2 is a standout and a 2-1 for a standout in a 7-horse field. And what's interesting in 7 horses, the only one that we agreed on, I think, is the 2-horse, the favorite. So we have 6 of the 7 horses. I wonder which one we don't have in there between the 2 of us. In any case, I'm going to go. So
Poland, maybe?
No, the astrologist is the only one neither one of us took. So what that means, folks, is forget about everything Tom and I said and just bet the astrologist. Because when we got 6 out of 7, it is the 7th that wins over and over and over. That's the best handicapping angle on the planet. I'm going to go with number 3, Treasured Star, as my second selection, Thomas. This is my favorite kind of race horse, Tom, because it is an all or nothing. Yes, indeed. And especially on the good track. 9 times out, 4 wins, nothing else. It's going to get a good surface today. So let's see if he can make 50%, 5 out of 10. Otherwise, he's going to run off the board, Tom, and I should have put an astrologist in his place.
You'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, we'll find out at about 12:28 a.m. Eastern, about 11:40 our time here in Chicago, if the power lines haven't snapped from all the wet snow and ice hanging off of them. Poland, and I know when we went through the pace setup here, the speed maps and the early speed, it really didn't put Poland up in that mix. But when you look in the past performances, it has the 1s and the 2s, and everybody else has 5 or 6s on them. I think that's the one that's going to actually end up being on the lead, Tom. And I do think it could actually steal this race up front if it gets an easy lead. And this one is cutting back in distance. Been running at a mile, 7 furlongs, forwardly placed in those longer efforts. So coming back to 6 furlongs might give this horse the opportunity to hang on to its speed longer, because at the mile or 7 furlongs, it would hold the lead to about 6 furlongs and then back up. So let's see if that plays out today. And then finally, as I kind of foreshadowed this, the other one I have is Quran. This is another horse that wants to close in this field, Thomas, stretching out, I think, from 5 1/4 furlongs to 6 furlongs. So that extra distance today for a horse that has a lot of giddy up and go at the end should work to its benefit. So 2, 3, 7, 4 for me. Again, between Tom and I, the only horse we did not pick was the 1 horse. Make that one your favorite and the one that you center your bets around, and you're probably going to cash. I hate speaking those type of things into existence, Tom, but it just seems to be one of those historical records that we can't ignore.
Nope.
All right. So what are we on? Race number 9 now? Did we go through 3 races already?
Oh, yeah. We were flying along here.
All right. Is this button going to work for me or not? There it goes. Off the Track Trophy is what we're going to do next. Race number 9. And in race number 9, the Off the Track Trophy race is going to be 1,600 meters. So back to this shoot here, a little bit of a run space into that turn again. Tom mentioned, and we think just from looking at the track layout and from Tom's watching experience, you don't want to get caught wide. So a little bit of early pace for positioning could be useful. And looking at the speed map, Tom, looks like this one has plenty of early, pretty good pace to get started. As they settle into position, most people want to be middle forward. I would probably be looking in the middle of the track right in here. Some of these horses there, just from a positional standpoint. On the late speed, Miracle Spin will be flying relative to the rest at the end. Question is, does he give up too much early to close down to win? Tom, who do you got?
I did go with that horse. Number 3, Miracle Spin. With barrier 7. Winner at Ranwick last out at the benchmark 78 level. Came from far back in that race, actually. And it was a runaway, to be nice about it. And it was a huge improvement over some of its earlier races. It's 1-for-1 at this distance, and I'm going to put him on top. 7, Ton of Grit. My next choice with barrier 4. Ran big last out. No, it's needed that race. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't. It was a good race, useful race. 5th, class 3. Okay, now he didn't have the best of start in that race, so probably was compromised at the beginning. I'm looking for a better effort, and I think this is one that appears to be coming into form if you just get out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I'm going to take number 9, Piaggio, with barrier 6. Last race house because it bucked at the start and was never in the race. Just to be nice about it, because previously it had won in second, it won at 1,600 meters, won at 1,400 meters. It ran second. I mean, it just misbehaved. Is the best way to describe it. And I'm going to hope that that was an anomaly, and it'll behave and run better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of had the same thought on that horse in a moment coming up. But for me to get started, this is another version of my all or nothing horse in here, Thomas. Strawberry Rock. I feel like I'm you today. I'm going with all the 20-something horse, 20-to-1 odd horses. But this one's been off 24 weeks, so almost a half of a year. But when this horse takes off, Thomas, and he comes back to run, 5 races, 3 wins, nothing else. That's a first up, all or nothing. So getting a little more granular on my all or nothing angle. And if you look over at the career races, Tom, 18 races, 4 wins. So 4 minus 3 means only 1 out of 13 times did it win in any other race other than the first up. It's tonight or this afternoon, depending upon where you live, or nothing for Strawberry Rock today. Hey, and if it's the all race at 26-to-1, I'll take it. Miracle Spin, that looks like it's going to be your favorite, Thomas. My second choice, as you mentioned. Horse did run at today's distance for the first time last out. It won. And according to everybody's first handicapping angle, good chance to improve in the third start after a layoff. The classic. Number 8 is the third call for me. That one is Captain Britain. Captain Britain likes the good footing, Tom. 7 races, 3 wins, and a second in the mix. Last time out, the horse ran a lot faster. In fact, if 1 second equals 5 lengths, the horse ran 25 lengths faster in its last race. Now, I realize when you look at the past performances, it went from a heavy to a good surface, Tom, but do you think any heavy surface could be a 25 length difference? I mean, if he's running in a swamp.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
Heavy is just that. I mean, it's one thing to be on a soft going, but heavy is just, like me running in the snow right now with my heaviest boots on. You're not going to go that fast.
But I don't think it's 25 lengths, though. No, maybe 23.
Extreme.
Yeah, it seems to be. I think when you kind of weigh that out, there was some significant improvement last time out. And then Piaggio, I guess that's an Italian horse from New Zealand right there. And as you mentioned, Tom, that horse bucked at the beginning of its last race. Well, I mean, maybe just didn't want to run that day. Could easily win this race because, as you pointed out as well, the form prior to deciding to take the day off was excellent. If he runs back to that form, I think he has a really good shot to win this race. And the stewards checked the horse, came out of that race clean. So maybe he and the wife were arguing. Didn't want to run that day. Makes sense.
Had other ideas.
Yes. Yeah. So that one.
Hey, they're animals. You just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you really never know. I'm my dog. It's the same way. Some days she wants to do what you want her to do, and other days she wants to do what she wants to do. And I guess they're stubborn enough that they get their way. It must be the same thing with horses. All right, last race you and I are going to do on this Foreign Friday, Thomas, is the Jockeys Assistance Program plate. This race is going to be 1,200 meters, so they're going to go back to 6 furlongs, and they're going to run from here, and then comes down that straightaway, hit that sign. So a bit of a drag race. Let's take a look at what the early speed looks like in the drag race there, Thomas. Looks like Jungle Jim, the one horse, has a pretty aggressive early speed advantage over the rest. And that might be a big enough early speed advantage to carry that all the way to the winner's circle. So you got some front runners, or what I would call E or EP types, or pilots or co-pilots, but you really don't have anybody here in that middle. Everybody else wants to close. In that short race, I would definitely be looking in this group right here for the winner. At the end of the race, Tom, they're all going to be coming with a lot of determination, but Turf Decision will be coming with the most determination at the end. Who have you determined to be the winner?
I did take number 1, Jungle Jim, with draw 9. And ran 2 average races and then won. And then ran a second, I should say, didn't win. Second last time out. And this is, as you pointed out, it's going to be forwardly placed. I said it could take the lead. I think it will take the lead. And run a nice race at the top end. There's not, based on the way these horses have run in the past, it appears to me that there's not a lot of fast tempo going to be on this. I think it'll definitely favor the front runners, and anybody I think forwardly placed has got a great chance. I'm going to take 4, Forbidden City as my next choice with one of the outside draws of 13. She's been running against better company, but it's been against females, and she's got 5th, 3rd, 2nd. Interestingly, the 2nd was at this level of 78, benchmark 78. She moved up from that level when she did well at that race and running a 2nd, and not so great. But she's going to return against the males here. She's doesn't have the greatest starting position, but I think it's an interesting selection based on it coming back down to a level where it's done better.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Jenny Jerome is going to be my final choice. And this one's got the awful barrier of 14. It ran 2nd start, ran after a good race, and ran 4th. This was at the benchmark 70 level. She's been using barrier trials as for the prepping for the last race. This one looks like it won. To me, it just needed a race. So, it's my it's not my all or nothing horse. It's my good enough to get the money. I think it's
the Tom horse.
Yeah, I think it'll prove off that last start. I see enough in that, and why not?
I'm going to go with Turf Decision. First selection today in race number 10. I think getting a little bit of extra distance today. Another one of those horses that ran a weird 5 1/4 furlongs, I think, last time out, going to 6 furlongs today. Second, start off a layoff. The horse should be ready to go, especially since he is 5-3-0-0 at 6 furlongs and getting that extra distance to his favorite distance today. It Is Me, the 2 horse. This is my next choice. And It Is Me. This one's won 2 races in a row, Thomas, going for our good friend Terry Hollywood Hayes, favorite handicapping angle. The hat trick. This one is usually well backed by the bettors. The only thing is the horse has been winning, so it's been moving up. But that's what happens when you win, and you don't know your level until you lose. Jungle Jim, I do expect that one, as we saw in the pace form there, Thomas, to be forwardly placed. Did show a little bit of regression in its last race in terms of its time. But I thought it was interesting to note that despite seeing a little bit of time regression, that the track caller wrote in his notes that the horse was actually fitter than the prior start. So get up front today, additional fitness, maybe a wire-to-wire effort for Jungle Jim. And then finally, another price horse for me, Thomas, in the 3 horse, Zoist. Is that like a Scooby-Doo noise, right? Zoist. This one's making its first start off a layoff. You can see first up on this guy. 5-2-0-2 at 81-1 odds. If it runs a bad race today and runs a bad race next time out, you might want to put this guy in your horses to watch, because if it makes it to a 3rd start after a layoff, Thomas, look at that record right there. 3 times out, 3 wins. Might be a big price. So keep an eye on this.
It's definitely going to be a big price. But I thought the equipment change is pretty funny to read.
And he's got a new trainer too, so maybe
Yeah.
that was
And that probably has a lot to do with why the equipment changes.
I was also thinking about the 11 horse in here too, but I didn't go with that one. Went with Zion, Zoist instead. So 5-2-1-3 with the Scooby-Doo horse at the end to wrap up our picks tonight at Flemington or this morning, wherever you are in this world. Hopefully, if you're in Australia, we've helped you find some winners where the weather is definitely better than we are enjoying here in Chicago today. Thomas, what will we enjoy next week for 4 and Friday? Have you thought about that?
No, to be perfectly honest, I haven't, which is fairly typical.
Mm.
But we've got some opportunities, and certainly handicapping in warmer weather is not a bad thing.
No, especially when you look outside and you just got a big like slush in your front yard. That's it. Speaking of
I know
dogs,
you're looking forward to going out there and shoveling.
I actually have to drive downtown when we hang up here to go get my daughter from school because they close early today. So that's going to be fun. It's always
That should be an adventure.
Yeah, it's always fun. I love it. I don't know what it is about rain. I understand the snow because the snow is a little bit more treacherous. You're sliding around and stuff like that. But and I'm sure everywhere I've been, it's been the case. I don't know if it's everywhere in the world is like this. But even when you get like a light rain, it really doesn't impact the driving at all. For whatever reason, people forget how to drive.
Well, there's one big advantage of rain versus snow. You don't have to shovel rain.
Yeah, that's a big advantage indeed. The rain though, when you walk the dog, you got to come in and dry it off with the towel. With the snow, you don't have to, unless like my dog likes to.
Oh, I do. Because I've got a dog with hair. The snow builds up and gets in its pads, and it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, mine likes to roll around and it just barks at you until you create a snowball and throw it for it to go get. And there's snow everywhere, but when you make a snowball and throw it, it'll go smell out that snowball and eat it, but won't eat any of the other snow. I don't know what it is. All right, Tom, that wraps it up for this week. Terry and I will be back Monday and Tuesday for Parks, so make sure you tune in for that. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we might change it up a little bit. If Gulfstream has gone to a Wednesday schedule, we'll probably go Gulfstream on Wednesdays, Aqueduct on Thursdays, and then, of course, Tom and I for 4 and Fridays, working on some other content, too, that we'll be bringing to you shortly. So stay tuned to make sure you don't miss any of that, Thomas. What should folks do?
Well, they better end up hitting those buttons down there, because we want to see our algorithms continue to rise.
Absolutely. And then our algorithms to help us pick horses. We can allocate more money towards that. All right, folks.
Oh, we certainly will try. That's for sure.
Yeah, a couple things are in the works in that regard, and hopefully we can get that all squared away. But unfortunately, we're all at that age in this group, minus Sean and Lucy now, or Betty Joe, where the people around us aren't always healthy. And when that happens, it kind of puts things on hold for a little bit. But hopefully that clears itself up. And a lot of the data that we've been presenting we'll have for all or most tracks shortly. All right, that wraps it up for today, folks. Tom, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
End up in the winner's circle, winner's enclosure, or you got to pick a few winners here, because these interesting races. We didn't do the Magic Million track because those are all 2-year-olds, and 2-year-olds are like.
Just put the names in a random number generator in Excel, and you might do better.
You may do better, yeah.
Yeah. So whether you're putting your picks or whatever it is you're doing in a random generator, sometimes I feel like life might be better off just going randomly than trying to take a path. But any case, no matter what you're doing, we certainly hope you have God's favor, God's blessing, and everything ends up in
the winner's enclosure.
Indeed. Enjoy your weekend, folks. Happy shoveling, Thomas. We'll see you all next week.